Pet spayed and neutered. That's my lecture for today.
Good afternoon, I'm Amanda Hall.
And I'm Rob Spicker. Wink News is Campaign Central for you at noon. Got you covered from the race to the White House to problems some voters are facing as they go in and cast their ballots.
Plus, after Election Day comes the holiday season and gift buying. A hot gift this year, coffee pots. Consumer Reports gives us their best buys. Eric?
Well, you might want to drink some coffee in a couple days. We got some cooler weather on the way, but when I come back, I'll let you know where it's raining right now.
From Southwest Florida's news leader, this is Wink News Now at noon.
Now at noon, Election Day, just 7 hours left until the polls close here in Florida in what could be a close race for president. We're live with both campaigns as they await results.
Frustrated voters. People in Lee County upset over long lines and clogged ballot scanners. We have team coverage across Southwest Florida at noon, so you know what to expect as you go out to cast your ballot.
And voting after disaster. Residents in areas hard hit by Sandy cope with difficult conditions just to get to their polling locations.
But first, 2 years of primaries, $2 billion in spending, countless rallies and debates all come down to today. It's up to you and your vote to choose the next president. President
Obama and Mitt Romney made their final push to get you to the polls earlier this week. Now they sit and wait. We have team coverage at noon with both campaigns. Bigat Shaban is covering the president's campaign in Chicago.
And Randall Pinkston is in Boston with Mitt Romney. That's where we start and kick off our live election team coverage.
Mitt Romney, his running mate Paul Ryan, and their families hope to take this stage tonight to claim victory. Mitt Romney and his wife Ann. Romney and his team hope the enthusiasm surrounding his campaign leads to a big turnout at the polls. I'm Randall Pinkston in Boston.
I'm Bigat Shaban in Chicago. President Obama visited with supporters here in his hometown this morning, and will also play a traditional game of basketball with friends.
President Obama.
More than a third of Americans voted early, some weeks in advance, but their ballots aren't counted until today. Reporting in Chicago, I'm Bigat Shaban. Back to you.
One of the things that always affects the vote is the weather. And this afternoon, we might get some rain.
Yeah, absolutely. Sky Tracker meteorologist Eric Stone joins us now with a look at the Election Day radar. Already some rain on the sky cam there, Eric.
Look at that. We've got raindrops on our camera. It is now raining in Fort Myers, as you can see on our live Wink News sky cam at noon. We'll get you on Sky Tracker Doppler HD, let you know where else it's raining across Southwest Florida. Once again, it is coming in from the west. When I come back, I'll let you know how low our low temperatures will get.
Eric, thank you. Wink News is your campaign central for this critical election. We have team coverage across Southwest Florida to check in on polling places and results.
Mike Walters at the Supervisor Election Office in Fort Myers. David Bowden's out on Pine Island. And Stephanie Suskind in Naples at noon to check on the voting conditions. And Mike, we're going to start with you. Give us the mood downtown on this election day.
Well, I can tell you it's been a very difficult morning here for the Lee Elections Office. They're having problems with the scan machines at various polling places. The lines are long. They're getting a lot of phone calls of complaint from potential voters this morning. We hope to find more information, get some answers from the Supervisor of Elections, Sharon Harrington, who so far has not come out to talk with the media about the problems this morning. Live in Fort Myers, I'm Mike Walcher, Wink News Now.
Continues at noon out to Pine Island. This morning, the ballot scanner there also broke at precinct 15 and caused a voting delay. David Bowden joins us live at noon. David, we hear things are moving a little smoother now.
That's right. Things are starting to get back to normal here, but there is a very long line. They've allowed everyone to go in because after the delays with the scanners, we of course got the rain, so there was a lot of people. Now, that hasn't been the same case everywhere. Some folks have been having a smooth run of it. At the Lee County Elections Office in Cape Coral, that's precincts 106, things were moving along pretty well. When we arrived there at about 9 o'clock this morning, there were about 100 people in line, and folks said the wait time was about 45 minutes. But then we started getting information that things weren't running so smoothly at other locations, like here at Precinct 21, where the scanner that reads the finished ballot jammed, just as Mike was talking about a few moments ago, causing wait times and frustrations to rise.
The scanner machine itself is very, very sensitive, and it's very time, you can't put your ballot in too quickly, all right, and you have to wait for it, like, I don't know if it resets or what it does, but it's more time consuming to actually scan the ballot than it was to fill it out.
And so once again, because of the rain, they've allowed folks to go inside. We were told just before the rain that the wait time was just over 1 hour for folks to get their ballots scanned in and for folks to get from the line to the exit. We're going to continue to monitor the situation here and bring you the latest as it develops. For now, we are live on Pine Island. David Bowden, Wink News Now.
Well, so far it's been good news in Charlotte County for voters. Despite some rain, the supervisor of election is just telling us they've had no problems there so far, and voters are saying they've waited a minimal amount of time. And a record turnout's expected in Collier County today, where more than 50% of registered voters have already turned in a ballot. Stephanie Susskind live for us at one of the 60 voting locations in Naples, and give us an update on how things are going there so far, Stephanie.
Well, so far so good out here in Naples. You can see the line behind me has already gotten shorter. We are at precinct 202. It's Vanderbilt Presbyterian Church off Immokalee Road, known as one of the busier precincts. And earlier this morning, people were waiting in line. The line was a little bit bigger, but they're telling us that they're really just waiting about 30 minutes. And this was all the goal of the Collier County Elections Office, to have lines shorter today because so many people voted early. About 100,000 ballots were cast between early voting and absentee voting, and that's about 2/3 of their expected turnout. Now, they are predicting about 50,000 people will vote today, and that would make this the biggest turnout in Collier County elections history. Now, as of just minutes before this show, about 23,000 people have already voted just today so far. So turnout really strong out here, but the lines still not too bad. Now, one thing you may want to bring with you to help keep that wait time down is your sample ballot. You can go ahead and take this with you into the voting booth and use it as a guide. So therefore, you can already have your selections picked out. You can know who you're going to vote for, know how you're going to vote on the amendments. That will speed up the whole process for you. But once again, just one reported problem in Collier County today at an Immokalee precinct. There was a delay in voting earlier this morning, but no other issues reported to the elections office. We'll keep tabs on it for you and let you know how things are going throughout the day. Reporting live in Collier County, Stephanie Susskind, Wink News Now.
And now at noon, awaiting word on MedStar. The latest is the county debates a final decision that might have an impact on your safety.
Plus, recovering from Sandy on Election Day as many cope without power and heat. They also have to head to the polls. Why voting in New Jersey could go high-tech. We continue our team coverage this Election Day in Naples. Vanessa Rufus is at St. Anne's Jubilee Center, where Governor Rick Scott and his family cast their ballots this morning.
She's live with us. The governor's message to Florida voters and an update on those lines. Good afternoon, Vanessa.
Good afternoon, guys. And talking about lines, there are no lines. What a welcome sight here on Election Day. No wait time right now. When the governor showed up just after 7, that was kind of when we saw the largest lines, and he was in and out within 30-45 minutes, and that's on top of shaking hands with fellow voters in line. So his main hope, he tells us, is that the good turnout of early and absentee voters continues through today. So back here to live pictures of the polling conditions here at St. Anne's Jubilee Center. As we said before, no wait, at least for the time being. We'll continue to keep you updated on your latest conditions at your polling locations near you. For now, we're live outside downtown Naples. Vanessa Rufus, Wink News Now.
And as we mentioned across Lee County this afternoon, we keep hearing from upset voters. The lines are long, the equipment is malfunctioning, and voters are getting frustrated.
Our Nicole Papageorge joins us over the phone from a polling place on Daniels Parkway. Nicole, what's going on there?
Well, I arrived here in just the past hour, and I can tell you there are dozens of people wrapped around the building waiting to cast their ballot. Now, this precinct, it's 118, and it's located at the First Church of the Nazarene, just off Daniels Parkway. We actually received an email from a viewer earlier this morning who told us the scanners inside weren't working. But in the past 10 minutes, I talked with the poll worker who says the machine is up and running. The problem is this ballot is so big, there's 7 pages, that it takes a lot of time for it to feed into the machine. So that's really what's causing all of these issues. Also, he had told me that in the last election, this precinct really was about half its size. Right now it has 3,500 people who are registered to vote here because they closed other precincts in the area, and now they're all coming here, but they're still working with only one machine. So that's essentially why it's taking so long, and now that it's noontime and it's going into lunch, people are getting off of work and showing up even more. So certainly people can be looking to wait at least a half hour to get through the line today, this afternoon. We're live in Lee County. Nicole Papageorge, Channel Wink News Now.
Obviously, the long lines, the machines, but also Mother Nature, a little bit of a problem this election day.
Mother Nature wants to get in on the election in Southwest Florida. Can you believe it? You can hear it, you can see it. It's raining 70s during the day and 50s overnight.
Besides the election, Wink News is tracking several other developing stories across Southwest Florida. Today, we're expecting an answer on the future of the MedStar helicopter program. Lee County commissioners are deciding if they're going to allow a private company to run the air ambulance service or partner up with one to do the hiring. You can trust Wink News to get you the decision on the vote as soon as it comes in a little later today. The commissioners are also voting today on the future of a lease at Hammond Stadium. The Minnesota Twins are asking for some renovations after the Boston Red Sox opened up at the new JetBlue Park. The plan calls for a two-phase renovation with a stadium and field makeover, renovated restrooms and concessions, then bigger and better amenities for the players. If approved, the Twins would pay $500,000 a year for 30 years.
Also developing at noon, we're waiting on an ID of the man found dead near a gas station last night. The body was found just before 8 in a grassy area at the corner of Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard and Park 82 Drive. That's right near the I-75 exit. Police would not say how the man died, but our partners at the News Press say it was a deadly shooting.
On the money at noon, the Red Cross says thank you as they ring the opening bell, and it's a good day for investors so far, with the Dow up 158 points right now. On this election day, when trading is expected to be light, but the Dow is on its way up, and tech stocks and energy companies seem to be the big winners so far this noon. And usually these are light days because of the election. So yesterday was light, today was expected to be light, but it's a good day for the Dow.
Suzuki says they will no longer sell cars in the United States. The Japanese automaker filed for bankruptcy on Monday. Court documents show Suzuki's debts could be as high as $500 million. As part of its restructuring plan, Suzuki will stop its car and SUV sales in the U.S., but continue to sell motorcycles, ATVs, and boat engines.
If you need a morning jolt and turn to coffee, maybe there's a new best brew. The single cup coffee maker could be your best friend.
And if you're looking for which one to add to your holiday wish list, we've got you covered. Next at noon, Consumer Reports gives us the best buys.
And Wink News will also continue to track rain for you. Sky Tracker Doppler shows it moving across Lee County right now and moving southward. We'll keep you posted on that when we come back. Happening today while you vote for the next president and more, the Higher Education Task Force is voting on some final recommendations. The idea is to use lower tuition rates to encourage students to enroll in programs that can lead to high-wage, high-skill, and high-demand jobs. Another proposal is to let so-called preeminent universities charge higher rates. The only way a proposal can advance is if the task force gives unanimous approval. Lee County waterways going high-tech. Beginning today, boaters can be safe on the water with a brand-new smartphone app. The Lee County Division of Natural Resources app offers an array of features like maps of inland and coastal waterways. There's fishing and diving tips, weather radar, fish identification, and much, much more.
If you have a need for speed, you have a chance to get up close and personal with race car drivers at the Seminole Casino in Immokalee today. You'll be able to meet with drivers and their dragster for free starting at 5 p.m. Tomorrow, the drivers hit the track for a 4-day drag race at the Immokalee Regional Raceway. Tickets to see all the action are $10.
We have talked a lot about early and absentee voting, but this ballot may take the cake.
If it doesn't, I don't know what does. Ahead in our second half hour, voting from space. We head to the polling place with an out-of-this-world view.
Plus, the devastation from Sandy might change voting. How those cleaning up will likely be casting their presidential ballots.
From Southwest Florida's news leader, this is Wink News Now at noon.
And welcome back to Wink News Now at noon. I'm Rob Spicker.
And I'm Amanda Hall. Stories topping the news this election day. President Obama is extending congratulations to rival Mitt Romney on a spirited campaign, but says he is confident he has the votes to win. Meanwhile, Romney is spending the day doing some last-minute campaigning in Pennsylvania and Ohio. The Romney campaign says it's going to keep working until the polls close. Stay tuned to Wink News for full election coverage throughout the day.
Police are investigating the death of a man found off of a busy Fort Myers highway last night. The body discovered just before 8 in a grassy area off of State Road 82 and Park 82 Drive. It's very close to the I-75 exits. Police have not yet released the name and not said how the man died, but our partners at the News Press report this was a shooting.
Well, still raining. Fort Myers, you can see on our live Wink News Sky Cam. Caloosahatchee, it is still raining in much of Lee County. So when I come back, I'll let you know what kind of temperatures we can expect for the next couple of days.
This is an election day residents of the storm-damaged Northeast will never forget. Thousands are still without power, many without a place to even live.
Even in the most devastated areas, they're overcoming all obstacles, though, to get out and vote. Allison Harmelin's in the Rockaway section of Queens.
Crowds have been streaming into these tents all morning to cast their votes. People roaming through devastated neighborhoods to find this makeshift polling place. In Rockaway, Queens, Allison Harmelin, Wink News Now.
In storm-damaged New Jersey, election officials scramble to relocate polls, and where voters simply can't get there, the state's going to allow them to email or fax in their ballots. Construction continues at the World Trade Center site a week after Hurricane Sandy wreaked some havoc on New York City. Governor Andrew Cuomo says 750 construction workers are returning to work at Ground Zero. Most of the water that flooded these 16-acre sites has been pumped out. The governor also says the crews have removed approximately 7 feet of water from the National September 11th Memorial and Museum.
And just into the newsroom, the Minnesota Twins will remain in Lee County and Hammond Stadium. The Board of County Commissioners approved the Twins lease agreement 3-1 this morning. Plans call for a 2-phase renovation. The Twins will pay $500,000 for the 30-year lease. Keeping an eye on the nation, authorities in North Carolina are investigating an explosion at Durham Regional Hospital. The blast killed 1 patient and slightly injured 3 others this morning. Officials say the hospital's sprinkler system worked properly and the fire was controlled before firefighters even arrived. Other patients in the unit were moved to other parts of the hospital. More than 148 victims and their family members from the Fort Hood shooting are suing the government. They want compensation for the attack that killed 13 people and left more than 24 wounded. The lawsuit claims there was negligence by the government. Army psychiatrist Major Nadal Hassan is awaiting trial for the shootings that happened 3 years ago from Monday.
The Pittsburgh Zoo is back open today, 2 days after the tragic death of a toddler. The 2-year-old boy was mauled to death by wild African dogs. His mother had put him up on a railing to get a better view when he lost his balance. There was a safety net below that railing, but it failed to catch him and the boy dropped more than 10 feet into the enclosure. Zoo officials are now considering the future of the exhibit, and the remaining 13 dogs are all placed on quarantine. The Masters next year will have its youngest competitor. 14-year-old Guan Tianlang won the recent Asia-Pacific Amateur Championship and earned himself an invitation to the prestigious golf tournament. When the Chinese prodigy tees it up at Augusta in April, he'll beat the previous record set by an Italian golfer who was 16 when he played at his first major in 2010.
Well, it is the most unique polling place with an out-of-this-world view. Astronauts at the International Space Station were emailed a digital version of the ballot. When the ballot is complete, it comes back to Earth on the same path and then sent to the voting authorities. The system was made possible by a bill passed in Texas in 1997.
Not a bad idea.
Not a bad idea. Talk about absentee voting.
Right. Now at noon, brewing the perfect pot of coffee. Is the single cup brewer worth the money? Consumer Reports reviews the top brands to name their best buy.
Plus a wild first day for one firefighter, the story of the first life he saved.
Now at noon, quite the first day on the job for one firefighter. Anthony Bellamy showed up to a medical call and was surprised with a baby delivery. The mother says labor snuck up on her so fast she only had time to call 911. And getting there just in time, this rookie firefighter carried out a textbook delivery just as he'd learned in school. Calls it the call of a lifetime.
It's just the luck of the draw, you know. That could be our next call. That's the thing. You never know. It's neat.
Luckily for the firefighter, he did have a little experience delivering a baby. He became a new father himself only a few weeks ago.
The latest clash between mankind and nature is playing out in South Africa. Take a listen. That is the sound that has been angering residents in the town of Boulder Beach. Locals say the penguins are such a nuisance and the stench is a health hazard. Residents blame the invasion on poor infrastructure and say the government doesn't maintain a fence that prevents the birds from waddling inland. Some scary moments out of Texas. One pilot was closing in on his first cross-country flight and made a little bit of a rough landing. As William Davis was descending, the plane's landing gear clipped the top of an SUV and crashed before making it to the landing strip. Luckily, no one was seriously hurt. Davis says although he's 4 weeks from getting his pilot's license, he is unsure if he'll ever fly again. I guess so.
Ouch. If you reach for a pot of coffee to start off the day, listen to this. Single-serve coffee makers are huge hits on the gift list this year. Seems everybody wants a piece of this market, even Starbucks. But after testing nearly 24 of these coffee makers, costing anywhere from $25 to $300, which one's worth your money? Keir Thompson's taking a look in the latest Consumer Reports investigation.
Like many people who've switched to a single-serve coffee maker, Amy Werner values the speed. And with this Consumer Report, I'm Keir Thompson, Wink News Now.
If you want a smaller pod coffee maker that takes up less counter space, Consumer Reports is recommending another DeLonghi in the Nescafe Dolce Gusto line. It's the Piccolo. It goes for $100.
Kind of a nice day to just sit and have a cup of coffee, lounge a little bit.
Watch the rain
Watch
outside.
the rain.
Yeah, it looks like the rain will be over this evening. We'll let you know about some cooler weather on the other side of a cold front.
Also ahead at noon, quality time with your doctor. How their experience level could determine how long you spend with them. We'll explain.
Welcome back. If you're looking for a new doctor, you might want to double check their history. According to CBS News, patients with the least experienced doctors spend the most amount of money when seeking treatments. One study found that doctors with less than 10 years on the job spent 13% more time treating patients than doctors with 40 or more years experience. Possible explanation here may be that recently trained doctors are more familiar with expensive new treatments. If you recently had a colonoscopy in the past 10 years and came back negative, you may not be in the clear to not have another one. But according to a doctor's, other kinds of follow-ups, including blood tests and CT scans, have the same survival rates with fewer complications and lower costs. But other experts argue most people prefer to endure a colonoscopy and never have colorectal cancer than to suffer with cancer and survive.
Some new numbers may shock you. According to a study from Northwestern University, it finds more than half the population is at risk for cardiovascular disease at some point in their lives. The research shows even men and women who have no risk factors for the disease have a 30% chance of getting cardiovascular disease in their lifetime. That includes heart attacks, heart failure, and stroke.
Got to keep watching that weather for today. Rain is moving across the southwest Florida right now as we speak.
Yeah, Lee County getting it, heading toward Collier County and further inland.
Some breaking news right now coming in from California. Reports that 3 people have been shot at a workplace in Fresno. Reporting the Fresno Bee is that this took place at the Apple Valley Farms plant that's in the central part of the city of Fresno. No other details are available right now, but again, the Fresno Bee reporting 3 people shot at a workplace, Apple Valley Farms in Fresno, California. If any new details come in, we'll update them here and have more information on our later newscasts. Other top stories we're following for you this day at noon is, of course, the election. It's a presidential race right now that many say is just too close to call. There are long lines at polling stations across the country, but they could be longer. More than 1/3 of Americans, an estimated 46 million people, have already voted. That's about 35% of the expected turnout of 135 million.
And of course, thousands of voters are turning out today in Southwest Florida. Many of them are running into long waits at their precincts and broken ballot counting machines once they get inside. We've received several reports of wait times are 2 hours or longer, up to 4 hours in some places. You can trust Wing News to bring you full coverage. We'll be live at the polls across Southwest Florida throughout the day.
And in the wake of Superstorm Sandy, Election Day turnout is heavy still in several storm-ravaged areas of New York and New Jersey, with many voters expressing relief they can vote at all. On Staten Island, voters are bundled up in the early morning darkness outside of tents that function as a makeshift polling place. Many people still have no power more than a week after Sandy came in and pummeled that area. We'll keep you up to date on the election all day on Wink News. Serve as your campaign central, and we'll be right back.
Well, the campaigning's behind us, and now we're off to the polls to see who'll be the next president. So we thought it might be fun to think what would be served at the White House, depending upon who'll live there. And it seems our winners, because they're both, ooh, it's so good.
Coming up tonight at 6, a Wink News exclusive, how a popular local politician found himself under attack by powerful issue money.
He ended up calling in favors.
Ray Judah tells all only to Wink News at 6 o'clock.
Well,
We're back at Live at 4.
Get out and vote.
For news anytime, go to winknews.com and on radio at 1200 a.m. Wink News Radio.